the report. Let's start that conversation with Honorable Moses Kuria, who's the CS for Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. So, CS, it's been 110 days since you took the helm of the Trade and Investment docket. How would you describe the ministry that you inherited, and what have you done to streamline it?
It was not very good news, because as a minister, I am in charge of several key performance indicators. Let's start with the investment, and the most important indicator there is level of foreign direct investment. $500 million, and it's been stuck there for quite some time, you know. So it's like investors have stopped coming to this country. You go to my other indicator, which is about exports. And even our development partners have sounded, an alarm that the contribution of exports to GDP has fallen from 28% to 10%. Then you look at manufacturing, which has also dropped from 9% contribution to 7%. So it's like all my indicators were down there. And when Kenyans complain that the economy is doing badly, that there are no jobs, it's not by accident. It's because of this kind of indicators. So it's not been easy. Literally I've had to rebuild everything from scratch, and it's not easy. Okay. But we need to do what we need to do. We have to do, and we're gonna do what we are doing. Rebuilding the fundamentals. Changing our approach and especially our mentality, and most important things, taking difficult decisions. That have to be taken.
Let's talk about one of them, the FDI that you're talking about. That is the foreign direct investment.
Right.
It's at 500 billion. You want to bring it to 10 billion.
Yes, no, 500 million, that we've inherited.
Yeah.
So, and it's because of, first of all, there was not very keen follow-up on investors. And then we had this mindset, Trevor, where we thought we were doing investors a favor. And the truth of the matter is that investors have got options. They have got elsewhere to go. So it's been very difficult, that, within a very short period, I have to, travel far and wide and, talk to investors, whether it is in US, whether, talking about tomorrow you've got the EU Business Forum, talking to 500 investors, whether it is in the Middle East, where I barely had a Christmas, going to all those, Gulf countries and convincing them that Kenya is open and Kenya is ripe for investment. So first thing was a change of mindsets, and from the point of us believing that we are doing investors a favor, to going out there and pitching, for their investment, because now everybody's doing the same, and countries have got options, and including our neighbors, by the way, they have outpaced us. And Kenyans have this belief, we are ahead of others, we are ahead of Tanzania, we are ahead of Ethiopia. Truth of the matter is that these countries have, leapfrogging over us, and we cannot continue to bask in the past glory. Yeah. So that's what's happening.
But are they leapfrogging over us because we've simply outpriced ourselves in the market, and there's also a lot of red tape and corruption?
All that, a combination of all that, laxity, bad attitude, bureaucracy, corruption, is a combination of all that, and it'll take some time and a lot of work that needs to be done. But the good thing is that confidence is coming back, and there's a lot of optimism, I can tell you, from all continents, from Europe, from the US, from the Gulf countries, from our neighbors, from the region, from Africa, and the most important thing that I've been working on is also, re-establishing our regional leadership in terms of that country with a sophisticated economy, that with a sophisticated workforce, that is having the most liberal, foreign exchange, regime, that is not controlling the, repatriation of dividends and capital, movement of people, and movement of money, and movement of goods. Yeah. So I am satisfied. I'm satisfied that confidence is coming back. Other ministries could be judged by how many boxes they move from point A to point B. Sadly for my ministry, we feed on confidence, we feed on business confidence, we feed on investor confidence. So the first indicator is when we find that there's quite some resumption of investor confidence, and they're trooping back. Of course, There's also, you can't keep on just smiling and thinking that smiling will take you away there when you smile to them. There are fundamental issues, the cost of power, the cost of energy, other bureaucracies here and there, which as a government we have to continue engaging, and we are engaging on how do we increase the country's competitiveness and attractiveness as an investment destination.
Yeah, you talk of shuttle diplomacy. In fact, CS, you've met several heads of state, Tanzania, Angola. In fact, in Uganda, you even delivered a special message to President Museveni. In fact, some people are confused that your docket is foreign affairs. In fact, what do you say to critics who say that you have somehow overstepped your mandate and gotten into the foreign affairs docket?
First of all, the issues of investment, the issues of trade, and the issues of foreign affairs, we are conjoined twins. You know, you cannot do one and you leave the other. And we are not at war with any country. Our primary foreign interest is the economy, is business, is investment, is trade. That's what at the core of it. Second thing is, in all those countries, by the way, in this month of February, I've met 11 presidents, 10 sitting presidents and President Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, former president. In all these tours, I was not sending myself. I was appointed special envoy by President William Ruto to talk to our neighbors and try to reestablish our leadership in terms of the region, trying to push through a couple of agreements that we feel are of strategic value and importance to the country. And some of those, because they've been stuck for some time, we felt that only presidential level decisions would unlock them, but it was not about defense and diplomacy and all that. My mission was purely about the economy and business and trade, which is really my forte. And I'm very grateful to President William Ruto for appointing me as a special envoy, because I have, I'll give an example, like Tanzania. My meeting with President Samia Suluhu Hassan, where we actually came to agree with President Suluhu that the amount of suspicion that has been between our two, sisterly nations is nothing but that suspicion, and we need to open a new page, re-establish confidence, and mutual trust with each other, and don't allow the negativity of the past, to judge our future. So some of this has been sort of recalibration of our diplomatic relations, and make no mistake, Kenya is going to continue asserting itself as we are the fourth largest economy in Africa. That's what we forget. After South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, number 4 is Kenya. Other countries are, training their guns on us in terms of overtaking us. Ethiopia, Angola, etc. It's important that even as we look for solutions within our, borders, we also do focus on the region. And, I was really amazed, Trevor, by the amount of receptiveness and respect that these countries have. Yesterday, the last 2-3 days, we were in Egypt, in the AU in Addis Ababa, and people will be surprised because 3 major decisions were taken in Addis Ababa.
Yeah.
One, Africa decided that on matters of Africa Continental Free Trade area, that we need to have an implementation matrix now that most countries have ratified. They chose Kenya in April to hold that kind of a dialogue for trade ministers and for private sector leading 100 companies in Africa to meet here and actually see how we can be able to push this forward. The AU summit normally has got two summits, the main one and another one we call the mid-year sort of coordination summit. And Kenya was again nominated on top of the April one. Now add to that President Ruto is going. He was the leader, appointed the leader of the heads of state coalition on climate change, or what we call the CAHOST. And again, Kenya was nominated in September to host the summit, the Africa Summit on climate change. So one meeting, all the 3 major events that were agreed in Addis Ababa were all coming to Kenya. That really speaks a lot in terms of how much respect respect Kenya that continues to enjoy out there, and the efforts that we are making to re-establish and reassert the strategic leadership role that Kenya has in this region. Because we can try, and we are going to try to resolve all the issues that we're having from a domestic point of view. But still, Kenya has got a role in the region, and our strategic direction that we are taking is that much as we fix our domestic issues, we're also going to play a very important role in terms of the region and indeed globally.
Okay. Yeah. Soko analyst here on Twitter is asking, he says that please ask Honorable Kuria what the government is doing to grow manufacturing in Kenya in regards to, one, affordable energy. He has listed 5, but let's start with affordable energy.
That's a very important question. Let me talk about affordable energy. You see, and there's some exercise of public participation that was gazetted by my esteemed colleague CS Davis Churchill, and which I think Kenya should respond to, because again, when we are given this opportunity to engage, we don't engage, and he actually gazetted some sort of exercise that is going on to review the cost of energy. What happens is, because of the nature of our economy, it is actually industry that subsidizes, the individuals in terms of energy. So you'll find that because of the pricing structure of energy, whereby if you consume X number of units on the lower end, you get this tariff. As you consume more, you pay more tariff. So what does that mean? At the end of it, it is actually industry that subsidizes the consumer. And that's a discussion we need to have. Because, again, also we need to reduce the amount of emotion around this issue.
Yeah.
A Kenya would rather spend all the money betting or spend all the money speaking on phone. That's not expensive. But when you tell Kenyans, let's pay 1,000 shillings for electricity, which is going to power us, then that becomes emotional, and we need to look at that. I don't mind us having that conversation, but honestly, it can't be at the cost of manufacturing and the cost of industry. And me as a minister for industry, I'm going to really put the voice of manufacturing there, that manufacturing cannot continue to subsidize energy for me and you and the other people, and yet we need these jobs. That's number one. Number two, and this conversation I'm also having with my colleagues in energy, you find your power bill is saddled with so many other charges and levies, or warma, this and that. I'm saying you cannot continue using the power bill as a revenue collection agency. So I'm going to have this conversation. Why can't Walma, for example, go to KRA and say, put for me this particular item to collect it, so that it doesn't make our power bill to be expensive. So it's a conversation you're going to have.
Yeah.
I am going to put the voice of industry there, and I'm going to stand up for manufacturing, because I think that is important and something has to be done. We cannot continue. Now our industry is paying up to 18 US cents per kilowatt hour. Ethiopia, which, white not for their problems, they are really getting our investors. They are buying power at 6 US cents. Compare that with Egypt at 4 US cents. This is not acceptable. So we need to look at energy from the point of view of both affordability and in terms of availability, because also availability is an issue.
Yeah.
And availability is one thing we are not doing badly as a country. We continue to exploit our resources, especially our renewable resources, our geothermal there, as opposed to our brothers and sisters from South Africa who did not do proper planning, and now they are paying the price because of the fluctuations in the power supply. So at least on availability we are doing well, but on the cost of energy is a difficult conversation we are going to have. We need to really look at balancing between the ordinary consumers and industry, because we need to help the consumer, but at the same time also we need to look at our competitiveness and our attractiveness as a manufacturing country.
All right. And before we take a quick break here, there's been allegations that you moved the ministry offices to a private mall. Was there proper procurement for that? And why did you move government offices to a private mall?
My first of two things, Trevor. One, I think three things. One, the registered office of the Ministry of, my ministry is NNSF building 17th floor.
Okay.
Two Rivers Mall, which people are talking about, is owned largely by the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. So it's like somebody accusing you of being in your own house. Three, I visit many countries. I know the environment which investors, for example, enjoy in those particular countries. I benchmark with many countries. I am going to give investors an environment that is, that ranks same, equivalent to what other countries do. This is the kind of mindset I'm talking about of how we treat investors. Yeah. Thinking investors have no option. I go to the US, I go to the Gulf countries, I go to Europe. I know the kind of ambience and environment which investors are treated with. So I have a very ambitious program to move foreign direct investment from $500 million to $10 billion. Of all the things that we'll be asking ourselves about energy and all that, it's about moving offices to a private mall. Let's get serious.
These are the questions people are asking.
Yeah,
let's take a quick break. When
yeah,
come back, we'll talk more.
Luckily for me, my conscience is very clear on everything I do. And I've got a reason for everything.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll talk extensively about the EU-Kenya Business Forum right after the break. Keep your views coming. I see a lot of questions coming through at Trevor Mbidi at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Monday Report. We'll be back with the CS in just a bit, all right?